The following opinions are expressed solely by Abysmii and do not necessarily reflect the views held by anyone else on this channel. Hello everyone, it's Abysmii. What you see on the screen in front of you and what I'm going to link into the video description is a thread on the subreddit for Let's Not Meet, also abbreviated as LNM. It's a place for authors to post stories under the kind of common thread of encounters they've had with people that they never want to have again. It's up to you if which ones are true and which ones are fiction. Doesn't really matter to me, honestly. It's people writing. If it's therapy writing, cool. If it's creative writing, cool. Whatever. This thread is the original poster did this saying that, hey, there may be a copyright problem with narrators taking stories and narrating them, putting them on their channel without permission from the authors. And the rest of the thread devolves into basically two camps, people saying that, yeah, it's a problem. Other people saying that, no, it's not a problem, or if it is a problem, it's a minor one, and just, put a disclaimer on your work, whatever. Reading through all of it is, for lack of a better term, heartbreaking, because I see narrators on here defending what they're doing. Some aren't really admitting to any theft, and I'm sure, they aren't. I know there's a lot of narrators who just have subscriber stories, and they do ask for permission and all that, but there's others that are just basically saying, well, it's not really a copyright issue because, they put it on Reddit. Reddit's a public domain. This is in the public domain. And just all sorts of misinformation and not understanding copyright and not understanding the gravity of their words. What's worse is just the fans of these narrators defending the alleged theft. Just in concept of, oh, well, the narrators have done so much for the community and, they get the word out there and I really like them. And it baffles me. It baffles me to the point of I don't even want to do my podcasts some days because I could somehow be roped in with these narrators. And I've said it 100 times. On the sci-fi stories, I either try to get permission from the author if they're around, and for the old classic stuff where I'm pretty sure the copyrights have lapsed or I can't contact the authors, I will take it down if someone says so. But whereas I go out of my way to make sure I'm doing this on the up and up, there are channels out there that just skirt around it. And they hide behind their fans. They hide behind their understanding of fair use. And it's just heartbreaking to see authors sell out other authors. This misunderstanding that, oh, if you post it online, it's free or it's public domain, or I even saw someone say, look, it's probably going to get stolen, so whatever. As if it's okay. That's just basically shrugging and going, some people get robbed, whatever. Like, if you saw someone getting robbed, would you just kind of shrug and go, whatever? You may not be able to stop the robbery, but I'm sure you would have some human inclination of that's wrong. And to a lot of people, I think that these stories, Let's Not Meet stories, and just internet stories in general, they don't mean anything. They're by amateur authors, wannabe authors. First of all, if you write something, you're an author. Doesn't matter if you're famous, doesn't matter if you're good. Doesn't matter if you get paid for it. If you write, you're an author. And as I have explained in my copyright video, under US law, if you put something in a tangible format, including on a web page on a website, it is your work. How you decide to license it is up to you. If you put it on the Creepypasta Wikia and don't specify anything, it's going to be considered CC by SA because you were agreeing to put it on that website and abide by its terms. Reddit does not work like that. You can read the terms of use for yourself. Reddit has a license to distribute it, but not, make money off of it by using it in their YouTube video. It's not a place where YouTubers can just come and scoop things up. They need to ask permission. And for the people saying, look, just put a disclaimer, that would be easy. Maybe it would. And it's not a terrible idea to copyright your work and put notices all over it like I do with my music. It makes it easier for people. But the onus, or rather, what's a better word? The burden is not on the author. The burden is not on the person who created something. It is on the people trying to use someone else's creation. It is on these narrators to find out. I don't care how inconvenient it is. If you can't get an obvious answer, don't do it. And if you are going to do it and you can't get an obvious answer, have the humility and the decency to say, I'm sorry I was wrong, and take it down. And speak no further on it. Because your channels exist because of other people's work. And that's not inherently a bad thing. Like I said in my video on derivative works, that can be very good. I have 2 podcasts that are derivative, entirely derivative, except for, little original stuff I put in there. But I don't pretend to be above the law, and I don't pretend to be somehow better than the authors whose work I'm critiquing. I may hate the story. I may poke fun at it. I may tear it apart. I may praise it. And I may be very angry and disappointed at an author for what they've done in a story, but at the end of the day, just so this is very clear to everybody, I don't hate authors. I don't want to steal from authors. And I don't want to do anything that would discourage them from writing. And that's kind of impossible because no matter what, some people will take any amount of criticism badly. So I try to, in all these podcasts, maybe I don't always do it, but I try to say, look, here's how you can improve. Don't fall into these pitfalls. Don't fall into these tropes. I regularly try to get people to join the writer's circle I'm a part of, to join the writing contests I participate in, to get people to write and to write well and to challenge themselves. So it's just, again, heartbreaking to watch authors sell other authors out. Put a disclaimer. It's not that bad. Someone's giving your stuff exposure. As if someone's ownership of their stuff doesn't mean anything. And I don't think that most of these people who are okay with what the narrators are doing are malicious, but it made me realize there's really only so much I can combat. And I've been thinking a lot of where these info rants are going and what I'm going to do with them, and this is all not scripted. I'm just talking to the microphone right now. I think I've articulated what I think well enough. I think I have done enough topics, and the only ones that are left are ones that have been done to death. Like, I could talk about the Vincent Vinacava trademark, but it's a non-issue now because justice actually won out on that one. I could talk about the process for making a narration video, but it should be pretty obvious at this point. I've just talked about it indirectly so many times. I may do the roundtable discussion with AIM, Midnight Marshall, and David King from Midnight Marinara. I may not. Depends how it goes. Depends how busy our schedules are. But I don't know, man. I don't regret doing these videos, but it just reminded me that I can only reach so many people. I'm not going to go around spamming my videos on every creative writing online forum. That'd be stupid and ineffective. People share them, that's one thing, but I'm not going to require that either. It's just goddamn. It's a real hit to doing what I do. It's discouraging. Because while I really do enjoy the podcasts, sometimes I'm afraid that I'm going to be lumped in with these narrators. Because I think a lot of people look at it and go, oh, it's just a channel that Read someone else's story. Some of them do it seriously, some of them do it in a commentary way, but whatever. Like, I almost don't want to be touching these authors' work sometimes without their knowledge because they put it up for people to read, CC by SA. Oh man, I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough decision because, like I've said in other videos, I could be entirely wrong about my fair use assertion. I, may not be transformative enough in my works, and if I'm not and I get a DMCA, I'll happily comply. If I think it's genuine and if I think it's compelling. But you just have these swaths of people who don't care or don't value an author's work. It doesn't matter if it's a tiny story, And a lot of people use the Let's Not Meet subreddit to legitimately talk about traumatic things that have happened to them. And I saw some, I'm not going to name names, you can go through the list yourself. It's not that long, it's just thick to get through. But I saw someone saying, oh, look, the people who are posting on here clearly aren't traumatized anymore. They've shared it, it's done, it's open for everyone, they've moved on. How the fuck do you know? How the fuck do you know how someone feels about what they've gone through? Unless they've told you, you can't possibly know that. I've written many a story and many a song as therapy for things that have happened to me in my life. I'm not better because of it. Those things are not resolved. Those things are not over and done with. It's just a way for me to deal. It's a way for me to deal with what's happened to me and not, do it in some destructive manner. It's a constructive, creative way. It's therapy. That's it. Some things people can't get over. Time does not heal all wounds. And sometimes you just do things to deal with it. And you learn how to deal with it. So for someone to think that these stories, and, again, some of them are probably fiction, that these stories have less value because they're posted online, that the traumatic experience no longer has an effect, or that they just are of less worth because they're not published in a bookstore, is disgusting. And one of the most disrespectful things I can imagine saying to somebody. And you would think that more narrators, especially the big ones, would be, well, I would hope they would be knowledgeable of this. But I see so many that probably just don't give a shit. And really, it's quantity over anything else. And again, the ones with hundreds of thousands of subscribers and people sending them stories every day, fine, whatever. You're in the clear as far as I can tell. If people are giving you stories and giving you permission, cool, whatever. It's the ones that just go around Reddit scooping these things up and just regurgitating them. And then they have the audacity to say, oh, I'm enhancing the community, or I'm not doing anything wrong, and this was posted freely. I gave credit, that's enough. When at this point in the narration chronology, in the history of it, that is no excuse. It never really was. But now you can't feign ignorance about what copyright is. And I'm done being pissed off about this, and I'm done info ranting about it, because, there's not much more I can say that hasn't been said so many times by other people. People with more authority than me. I don't have much, but I take a lot to research. I'm not some big member of any community in any big way, but I hope what I've said has helped just given people a new perspective on this thing, because I get it. When I first came into the whole online horror fiction thing, I did not know a lot of this stuff. I had not considered it. So I get it. A lot of people just don't know, and that's why I set out to do this. I wanted to educate people. I wanted to inform people, let them make up their own minds about it. But, it's just this constant fight of, hey, let's put authors first. And if you're going to make derivative works, make it meaningful, make it new, make it good. Just, make it something decent. But of course, the easy way is going to be the most common way. I understand that. I'd be stupid to, think that that's not going to happen. But like I said in other videos, I've seen channels actually have variety to them. And then they just stagnate and they become the cookie cutter, true scary story factory that you see today. I feel like all the fame and quality and importance, it's all just like projected by the fans because they get something out of it. And I won't deny that. I know that people get stuff out of narration channels. I get that. But it costs something. And I've talked about that too. It really does alter the way that the online horror fiction landscape looks and feels and acts. And you have these, you have subreddits like Let's Not Meet that have to like bring up the fact that, hey, I think our shit's being stolen. And while some people are perfectly fine letting their stuff being narrated, they seem to talk for everyone else. Oh, that's fine with me. What's the problem? It's not your damn work. That's the problem. The fact that people are just like, whatever, is just like, Jesus Christ. And it's the authors more than anything. Images, like, they're taking a lot, I guess, but music, for example, it's almost always put down. Normally because there's sites out there that are very explicit with, hey, use my stuff, just credit me. But it's done without fail. And even on sites where authors let you post their stuff but want to be attributed, that doesn't happen. Why is the music always there? And I've said this before. Because content ID is a lot easier with music than images or a story that you're reciting word for word. These channels are just doing the bare minimum to not get caught. And when they do get caught, they, claim that everyone's out to get them. I don't even know if this recent rash of dislikes is bots or not. Maybe it is, I don't know. But does it really matter compared to what the rest of you are doing? With the other criticisms? I'm seeing more and more comments of people saying, like, all these stories are the same. They all sound the same. And a lot of them are the same because they're getting it from the same places and just reposting. And then they go do it on each other's channels. And if that's your thing, cool. But look what it's doing. Seriously, look at what it's doing. We don't have these breakthrough stories anymore. Or rarely we do. You want to talk about, encouraging people to write? Encouraging better authorship? I hope what I'm doing on my podcast is, I really do. I want to see better stories. I only post usually every week, kind of not, because I don't have, I have high standards for this crap I read. It's not crap, sorry. The stuff I read. And you can't tell me that these channels that are just churning these stories out think they're all good. No one thinks that. No one plows through that many different types of stories with that many authors and yeah, this is the good one. Humans don't do that. They're more picky. You don't do that with movies, you don't do it with music. You know what you like and you seek out what you like. You don't just take everything. And that's what these channels do. They take everything. Every story fits into some weird categorized box. To the point where you can pretty much guess what's going to happen in every frickin' story because, hey, it's a police story. God, I wonder what happens in that one. Haunted basement stories. Oh, I'm guessing they're going to the gas station where they have a picnic. No, it's a fucking haunted basement. If you like that, cool, but, there's a potential on the internet for these creative spaces to churn out some really good stuff, to turn out good stories that challenge people, that are unique and stand out. But that's not, it's only doing that in a small way now. And it's really disappointing that I can only affect this in such a small way. So I think I'm done, with the info rants. Unless something huge comes up that I feel I should talk on, or if someone suggests a topic that would be good for me to talk about, I've got nothing else to say. Contrary to popular belief, I don't like just getting up here and ranting all the time. I don't do it very often. I have a lot of other stuff I work on. It's always in the back of my mind what's going on, but it's not fun being angry all the time. I used to be a very angry person for a lot of reasons, and I've learned to do stuff to deal with that anger. I was never really violent. I was never, diagnosed with anything, but it's easy to be worked up about things. It's easy to be always angry. And I learned not too long ago that doing something creative with it helps. It helps you deal with it, to understand it, to better reinforce your knowledge of it, and to make something productive out of it. And I've reached the end of the productivity in these things, so I think I'm done. Unless, again, for the previously stated reasons. I guess closing, I just want to ask everyone to do something for me. I don't do that very often. I like these things to be exchanges and just kind of open, but if you want to, if you agree with what I say, if you agree with my principles and what I'm trying to accomplish here, share these things around, share them. You don't have to quote me verbatim. You don't have to, or you can if you want to. You can just post the link and say, hey, please listen, or you can quote what I'm saying here. If you care, put this in places to where people who need to hear it will hear it. You don't have to give it to your friends who agree with you. That just make an echo chamber. Try to put this in front of people who need to hear it. Because other than that, I can't really do much more. Didn't expect this one to be so somber. I thought my send-off would be a lot more kind of just matter of fact and brief, but I've been talking for 23 minutes. I don't know, man. It's really tough. It's tough to see something that you care about being treated like this. And I'm sure there's people out there who are like, dude, why do you care so much? It's not that big of a deal. It's a big deal to me because it's something that I've really fallen into. I like being part of a collective, creative, collaborative space. Whether that's working directly with people or whether that's just sharing things. This is my work away from my day job. This is how I get enjoyment and meaning and pleasure in life, in some respects. I have other things too. I have music, I have my fiance, I have a bunch of stuff, but, this is important to me. This is something I fell into and I've tried to build up and I've tried to carve a little space for myself. And some of the greatest things I've done on YouTube are with other people in these creative spaces. So to see just so many people acting counterintuitively to that and saying, no, people can just use each other's work, no holds barred. And then supporting such an act, and the product is this like bland, empty offering of, hey, I read your stuff word for word for the YouTube money. What do you say to that? How do you reconcile that? Because I don't know anymore. I don't think that all narrators are bad. I'll probably have to say that for the rest of my life, because people will hear this and go, you just hate all narrators. You're jealous of them. That was fun. You're jealous of the people who you disagree with and call thieves. Yeah. No. That makes sense. I genuinely hope that something catastrophic happens. Not in a damaging way. I don't want people to get hurt. But, some mass action of authors going, no, you can't use my stuff. Talk to me first. Narration channels to either fade out of popularity or whatever. Not all of them, of course. The ones who are doing well, I hope they continue. I really do. I don't know. I'm done. thank you everyone for listening. Really, really thank you. I'm glad people showed up to hear what I said, and hopefully they've gotten something from it and maybe they share it around. So thank you guys. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be posting content. Music will always continue. The podcast will continue as long as it's enjoyable and I'm doing something good with it. So that might be forever for all we know. Who knows? Thanks to all my co-hosts. I love you guys. I really enjoy what we do together. Looking forward to more episodes. Looking forward to doing something good and different as much as we can. Bye.